For this video, we are going to talk about how we can make our sketch to where we could like print out our output or make a video out of it. Making a video out of it, what I normally do is I just have OBS and record my screen, and that works. But if you want a high quality video that isn't going to lose any resolution, then I'll teach you how you can do that. So first we'll start with printing out our sketches. And so I'm working with the gridded for loop from demo 6, I think. And the reason why I'm working with this particular sketch is that I've already made it scalable, and so I can easily come and change the size of the canvas to whatever size I want to print out. So if you haven't made your sketch scalable, then you need to go into your sketch and look at every number that's hard coded and just change it basically. And that's going to take some time if you weren't thinking about it from the beginning. And so you change it by doing just like width or height times whatever 0.01, whatever number looks like appropriate. And things, if you have to like go back and change everything, you might want to save your original sketch because things are going to look different. Assuming you have a scalable sketch that everything is dependent, every size that you've got or location or anything is dependent on the width or the height instead of 50, like a hard-coded number, then you can come in to, instead of putting window inner width, you could change it to 50, make it 50 by 50 pixels. And everything's still spaced out right here. I'm gonna make this like slightly bigger so we can just see what happens. Right, everything's spaced out exactly as we wanted, but if we came in over here and hard coded this 50, things are gonna be weird, like spaced out in inappropriately, and so just keep that in mind and ask me if you have questions about that, because I know it can maybe sometimes be a little bit confusing. So we've got a scalable sketch, and literally all we want to do here is change the canvas size. And so we could come in over and see like Google, if I want to print out an image that is 10 inches by 10 inches or 30 inches by 30 inches, what is the pixel length? And also I put a list of that in the next project's rubric. So let's just go to the project rubric real quick. We're in the generative design project rubric, which I haven't given you yet, but I will in the future. And I made this little table for you guys, so you'd have just an easy place to see some of the different like print resolutions and the pixel size that it needs to be at. So if you wanted to print around that size, then the pixel size needs to be this 3264. So it gets pretty specific. So say I want to print 20 by 15 inches because that's nice. There's no decimals here and that looks good. I need to make my canvas size 4000 by 3000. So I'll go back and just in create canvas, I'll change this to 4000. And change the Y to 3000. And so since it's scalable, everything looks right. And now just a quick note here too is that if you're changing something, like my sketch here is really uncomplicated. It's just a couple for loops and some ellipses. But if you've got like a lot of code written down and things are really complex, then you're gonna press that play and it's not gonna be that, it'll take a really long time for it to load up. And I experienced that with one of my other projects that was pretty complicated, where I was like using a fractal and stuff. And basically, I would press play, nothing would happen, and I was like waiting and waiting and waiting, and then this window popped up, and it was like, do you want to continue waiting or do you want to exit? And I just kept pressing continue waiting. Wait, wait, you just keep waiting. And eventually it'll pop out with the image that you want at the size that you want. So from here, all we have to do now is just save that image. So I'll save it in this image video export, file name circle grid, and I'm gonna save it as a PNG. Yeah, save. And so we can go over and check that image in the folder that we created. Here's the image that I saved. And of course I want it to go like all the way down to the bottom. Whenever it's printed out, I could just slice that right off, or I could fix it in my code, but I'm not too worried about it right now. But what I do want to check is I want to right click that image, go to properties, and on Mac, I think it's like info. Go to details, and then here the dimensions you can see are 4,000 by 3,000 pixels, width, height, bit depth 32, and you can see like everything about the image file here. And so now whenever I print that out, I want it to print out at that 20 by 15 exactly. If you go smaller, print it smaller, it should be fine. But if you want to print it larger, it's going to start to lose some of that resolution. And the goal here is to get the highest resolution we possibly can. So with this image, I can't go higher than that 20 by 15 inches, but I can go smaller. You know how to print out your images at a high resolution. And so resolution depends on, or the size that you want to print depends on the resolution. And making it scalable is really important. So for the next one, the video tutorial, video export, what you could do, and what I normally do, is just do a screen record with OBS. But you're going to lose resolution there too by screen recording. But basically what I want to do here is I want to save my canvas. And so we're going to use the saveCanvas function, and it is going to save, it's going to be put in the draw loop, so that saveCanvas just saves like still images. So essentially, like, we're going to be creating a GIF. So it's going to save PNG, 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 PNG over and over until we tell it to stop. And then we're going to go and take all of those images that it downloads, and we're going to put it together in Premiere or whatever video editing resource that you use. One note here, that if we're using Chrome, you need to go up into the settings, and you really need to do this. In the downloads, here you can tell where it's going to download. So you can change it just for this, what your project is, or you can keep it here and then change it back later if you did. But when it says ask where to save each file before downloading, if this is checked, then you're gonna have a real bad time with when you go to save all of these files, because it's gonna ask every single time, every time it downloads one of the frame rates, or it'll ask, do you want to download it here? And you have to say, okay. Do you want to download it here? You have to say, okay. And eventually you're going to get so tired of it that you just like shut down everything. So make sure you uncheck that to save yourself from misery. And then here at the bottom of the draw function, We're putting in the draw because we want it to happen continuously in a loop. We could put saveCanvas and put the parameters and run it that way. But every time we press play, it'll just start saving things. And if you want to have more control, we'll just do that if statement, and if key is pressed. So if the key is pressed, then it will save the canvas. That way we have control over when it starts and when it stops. So you put the saveCanvas function, and inside of the function, we're going to put frame count, which is like counting the frames per second. And then frame count plus quote dot PNG or whatever extension you want to do. I highly recommend PNG, just in case you have transparent pixels anywhere. And basically that's all the coding we need to do. So if I press play, it's not going to save anything, but if I click into the canvas and I press my key, any key on the keyboard here, it starts, you see at the bottom, just like rapidly saving a bunch of PNGs, and it's numbering it based on the frame rate. And you'll notice that the sketch runs a little bit slower, but that's just because of all the downloads. And I'm gonna click off of my keyboard, and even if I come over here and like do anything, it won't be recording anymore. So I'm gonna give it a second to download all of these frames, and it looks like it's done. So I'm just gonna stop that, show all, show in folder. So here in my downloads folder, you can see all of the images that it saved. And if you want like a long video, these are going to be a lot of images. I kept mine pretty short. So now you can come here and compress that into, rename it object array. And then I can send my object array to wherever I want to save the file. Now it's exactly where I want it. And I can now take all of these images and put it into Premiere, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I opened up Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm using 2019 right now. So if you've never used this before, I'll just pretend like you have it. And if you have, great. And if you want to use something else, that's good too. But down here, you can import media to start. So you just double click that. And I've got your student work. Go to your folder where you saved all of your images and just open or drag and drop. And then I'm just gonna drag and drop over here. And I believe it did it in the wrong order. So I'm going to click on the first one, scroll down, click on the last PNG, and then grab it, see where it's placed on V1 track, and drop it. And I'm going to scroll. I'm using this scroll right here to scroll through and see if everything looks like it's in the right spot. something is off here. Something happened, so between here and here, the recording was wrong, or I'm just gonna delete that last bit for right now. But ideally, like if that was a huge issue there, I would need to go back and, you know, re-record everything. But for right now, I just deleted the last part. So now whenever I scroll through, everything is running, like it all is running in the order that it should. Yes. So I could, you know, if you press play here, it's not going very quickly because each frame is taking up a certain amount of time. So I'll just highlight all of these images. I'll right click that highlight and I'll go to nest here, and I'll make a name for my nested sequence called object array 1. And so now I don't have to like change the speed of every single individual element. And now I can right click on that nested sequence and go to speed duration. I want it to be around 3 seconds. So I'll put 03. Okay. There's an example of how we get the most out of our video. And then it's got like this red bar here, so I just need to press the enter key and it'll like render that. It's still a little glitchy, but I think I didn't like order the files right maybe after the download, so just keep that in mind. You might want to fix that. Cool. So that's how you create a video and get your sketch ready for print. And in the next project, you will have the choice of whether or not you want to do that, but I think you should, because after we make a really beautiful piece on web, maybe we want it to be like viewed in other spaces besides online. So that's how you might do that.